Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Candid Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Evan Sokinyi. Such a pleasure to have you on board, and of course, as you'll be joining us here, want here to discuss and dissect some of the issues that are actually affecting our country and our globe at large. I'm joined by the one and only political commentator, analyst, and of course, the fountain of knowledge here, Professor Herman Manyora. Prof, how are you?
Good. Yes.
Some people say that you twitch up some of these ideas. In fact, they say that you should be actually the chief legal advisor to the president.
People don't like people like me. Maybe I should be the president myself.
If that job comes, can you actually be able to advise the president on some of these issues?
Of course. I'm a good man and well-intentioned. If the president asked me to be his advisor on a number, I'll do it.
Why do you think people are opposed to such kind of radical people who can actually advise them and tell them the
Many
truth
people
as it
don't
is?
like ideas. People don't like new things. People are happy in the comfort of the known. And many people don't want to venture into the unknown. The world has always been moved by people who are willing to venture into the unknown. But people normally are comfortable in what is known, in the secure in the knowledge that this thing has worked. Let's not antagonize it. Yeah.
Well, let's wait and see. Perhaps if at others also allude to the fact that perhaps if Baba could have been president right now, then you could have been his advisor.
Maybe, maybe not.
Prof, something is actually taking place here, and of course this is of global attention. You know very well the United States Africa Leaders Summit. What actually captured my attention was this statement made by Ghanaian President, Nana Akufo-Addo. Now, this is what actually happened in the US African Leaders Summit. Ghana's president urges Africa to stop begging. And this says that, let me just read you this post here. Ghana's president, Nana Akufo-Addo, has said that African countries must win themselves of begging the West to earn global respect and change poor perceptions about the continent. And he said here that if we stop begging, being beggars and spend African money inside the continent, then Africa will not need to ask for respect from anyone. We will get the respect we deserve. If we make it prosperous as it should be, respect will follow. This was a statement by Ghanaian president actually during that kind of meeting between the US and the African leaders in Washington, D.C. Prof, let's begin from here. Do you buy the kind of argument that the Ghanaian president is actually bringing on board?
Of course, of course. And there have been others before him who have said as much. Rwandan president has said as much. Others before them have said and done things. Gaddafi was there. Showing the ways that an African country can succeed. The danger is if you are a Gaddafi or a Magufuli alone, you may run into headwinds. These guys may gang up and even turn your people against you, like they successfully did with people like Gaddafi, or pick you out like they did with Kwame Nkrumah and Patrice Lumumba in Congo. But if we have a critical mass of African leaders thinking in that direction, then we are okay. But African leaders will do everything to have a photo opportunity with the president of America or some Chinese president. They will do anything, and they'll smile like sheep just to take a photo with the US president. Leave alone even to do those things Addo is telling them to do. Just to be next with Biden, African leaders can kill themselves to be there.
Let's begin from here, Prof. Where did we go wrong as a continent?
It's back to our history. First of all, colonialism disrupted our ways of life, lumped us together into new boundaries and called them countries, brought Western education, brought Western religion, brought other forms of religion. We were completely knocked off our base. But before that could crystallize, before we could find our bearing, independence came calling. And with this independence, the white man was so clever. He could see far. He could see if they continue running these colonies. First of all, the colonies were unnecessarily expensive. They were just centers of prestige. But they realized they could control the colonies from Europe, from America, from Asia, by simply ensuring that you give power to puppets. People will do the bidding of Western people. Give them toys. In terms of shareholding, some little monies. Show them the ownership of property. plant greed into them. Let them want to have all the parcels of land. So we started off independence on a false footing, where most African leaders went into primitive accumulation of wealth without thinking about country. So we never really tried to build nations. And for that reason, we are very vulnerable. When you come to power, even if you have ideas like Manyora, the Western people will try to ensure either you don't get to power, as they successfully did with Raila and Mother Karua, or if you slip through the fingers, get to power, they will relate with you in the way they related to Gaddafi, Magufuli, and Sankara, and the rest of those kind of people. So it's really tricky. So they have put us in a place where we will perpetually have the worst people for our leaders. So every African country, the leadership of that country is not the best the country can get. Africa will be a different place if the best sons and daughters of Africa were in charge of the destiny of Africa, were the leaders of Africa. But as it were, by design, the international community ensures we don't get anywhere near having the best of any country leading that country. And when occasionally somebody passes that net and gets into power, they will sabotage you. That's why we are where we are.
Now, Prof, some people also do argue that just like a man, Africa is not an island, and therefore Africa cannot stand alone. Now, my question to you is this: how important are these multilateral ties, and how can we actually go about them so that we do ensure that, yes, we do not depend fully on those people, or we stop begging them, as the president of Ghana was actually insinuating?
Everything, every arrangement, every organization that is international is meant to keep the African and other third countries where they... Even football, World Cup. You wait until Ghana wins the World Cup, it will disappear. It will not be there. We had a very famous safari rally here. When Africans began getting to winning it ikatolewa. The picture of the white man as a god and the black man as a slave must be maintained through all these global institutions, IMF, World Bank, World Cup, Premier League. All those things are structured in such a way your place is clearly set out for you as a slave, and the others are gods or masters. So any relationship, any multilateral, multinational relationship between Africa and the West is always loop-sided and in favor of the West, so that you remain down a slave and they are always up there, masters or gods. Any of them. All these institutions are kept there specifically to put the African so that they can be exploited. Once you do not have confidence in yourself, once you have the slave mentality, you will open your borders to people come and mine your gold, your diamond, all your precious minerals, and take kwandege na unapeleka kwao. They will come and take your raw material on which you are sweating, you are plucking tea when it is raining. You are picking coffee under very harsh conditions. Schools, nobody goes to school. Children don't go to school at the peak of coffee picking season. They want to pick the coffee. But the price is determined in Europe, in London. Then they get the raw coffee, go and process it, bring and sell it to you here. That arrangement cannot be broken if you do not have those institutions, I'm telling you, to make the African believe he's inferior, to live and act inferior. So you have your answer.
You've just made a statement here that the West, actually the US was actually anti-Raila kind of presidency. Yes. Why do you think the West did not want a Raila kind of presidency?
You know, initially the West feared Raila because of his socialist leanings and radical nature, which could be disruptive. But after, with the time and age, he became somebody they could deal with. And even at some point embraced him. But now, when they saw Mother Karua pairing with Raila, they thought that was dynamite. You can't handle that. All these funny tenders you get in this country, exploited, you overcost the tenders, construction of a road we don't even need maybe, overpriced, you bring your experts, you bring your machinery, no technology transfer, so that 50 years from now you'll still be coming to build the same thing you built 50 years ago. Kenyans don't know how to do it through what we call technology transfer. They thought with Raila and Mother Karua, and that's my thinking, I could be wrong. They could see this is not something you are going to. Then they had the option, an easy option. Why not get a man who doesn't have international standing and a grip, who would be more than happy to get our support? It happens like that. International, it's an international thing.
And do you think Ruto is that man?
Of course, that's what they thought. They could be wrong. He could disappoint them, but that's what they thought.
Some people...
They thought comparing Ruto to Raila and Mother Karua, you will do business with Ruto because he doesn't have a footing in the West. He'll be more than happy to be embraced by the West. Okay? But people have come to power like that and disappointed the people who thought they were weak. Yeah.
But of course, with some of the policies that we've seen the president implement here, of course, the issue on GMO, of course, definitely, you know, that one has its footing all the way from the West, US specifically. Yes. Do you then try to think that perhaps the president is trying to prove those who thought that he is a puppet of the West, right?
I think so, because the GMOs from nowhere, from the bush, boom, GMOs. Look at the IMF bidding in terms of subsidies. And there are going to be a lot of painful decisions the government will make just to please the IMF. I hope I'm wrong, and I wish I'm wrong, including layoffs, retrenchments, cost cutting. And the president has already alluded to that, that he would want this budget reduced by 300 billion. On the face of it, is a good idea. But if you look at it in detail, is one of those things in a string of the things that are being done to please IMF, to keep your promise with them. Yeah.
Do you believe that we can actually survive and thrive as a country and a continent without the kind of influence from the West, or with us if we decide to keep the West at bay? Can we manage to do that?
You said no country is an island, no man is an island. The world is a village. We must live in this world together. You cannot live alone. But we cannot continue having a relationship where we are slaves and others are masters. No. If it is trade, why would China have trade in its favor? The last time I checked, 10 billion in our favor against the 400 billion. What kind of relationship is that? Why would the Chinese come here and do everything, including small little things? Why can't they say, as we do big roads and big buildings, we will be training your engineers and small people to do the smaller jobs? That's a good relationship. If we have minerals, why would you mine our minerals and take them and ship them to Canada, then to bring us the products here? Why can't you say, God in his wisdom, aliweka hii kitu hapa Kenya, tuchimbe na nyinyi, tugawane faida pamoja? You do that kind of thing. But what do? They get minerals which God gave you, huge deposits, where they will get trillions of dollars, and they give you 50 million in license. Alafu wanawambia chukweni yote peleni. That's not a relationship you are going to have with people. And that's the kind of relationship Gaddafi had worked on. And that's the kind of relationship the current leader of Burkina Faso. He's already attracting a lot of bad beating from the West. He has told people, if you are here when I mine our minerals, just pack and go.
Out of Museveni?
Yeah? Museveni is just a joker. I'm saying Burkina Faso, the new president, that man, he looks stupid, but the policies is coming up. They are pro-people, pro-Burkina Faso, pro-Africa. That we cannot do these things alone. We must work as brothers and sisters across the globe. Lakini kama mtu aliweka dhahabu hapa chini, akaweka kwa Afrika, badala ya kuweka Iceland. Si tuchimbe hiki kitu itufaidishe sisi wa Afrika na wewe. Unakuja kutusaidia sababu uko na maarifa. You have the expertise, the technology, the machinery. We exploit this thing, then we put it on the table. Here it is. How much did we get? Oh yeah, this can bring $1 million. You go with the 300 or 400. What does this wenyeji to back in a 400, 600? That's fair.
Well, definitely there you have it from Professor Herman Manyora himself. Of course, you had a mention here that is a fountain of knowledge. Of course, as you can see from how he articulates issues actually pertaining to this country and even matters that are actually global. Ladies and gentlemen, let us wait and see actually what will take place, or rather what will actually form our basis of thriving as a country and a continent for that level. Till we have this conversation again, please do not fail to subscribe to our channel here at Herman Manyora. And of course, let's talk love KE. My name is Evans Okinyi.